Well, welcome to our Game 2 Stars video, team. And I'm very happy to... Whoa! Okay, let's change locations here, and I'll be right back. Well, hey guys, this is our second week Stars video, and we also have, I'm going to have actually a lot of stuff to talk about after I give out the stars, so I'm not going to probably make stars go too long. So let's get right to it. Let's start again. Actually, let's go reverse alphabetical order for first names since we did the other way last time. So let's start off with Wilson. Wilson, you did a great job this last time of just being all parts of the game. You had something like 6 points, 6 steals, rebounds. You got in there enough effort to get you got a foul, trying to get the ball. But you keep encouraging your teammates to do what they need to do also out there, either when you're a point guard or when you're not. And because of all the effort and team sportsmanship that you get out there, you actually get the sportsmanship award for this week. Congratulations, Wilson. Now we have Mason. Mason, I mean, you did a lot out there this last game. I told you needed to get out there and get a lot of energy trying to get the ball and get the ball and get the ball. You did a good job getting hands on the ball. We had to kind of work with you on trying to get it in the right fashion, but you adjusted. You started getting the ball when we needed it. You had 2 points. I know you got some steals out of that, a couple steals out of it. Now, part of your award goes because I know that you did a lot out there. You did rack up 5 fouls. I talked to you a little bit about it, that you got some of those were maybe not necessarily the best choices, but other ones were just because you're giving a lot of effort, and sometimes things happen when you give a lot of effort out there. There's some extra contact. So with that, you're actually getting the effort award for this week because of everything you did out on the court. Thank you, Mason. Next up, Jimmy. Jimmy, again, I'm very impressed on how much you do out on the court as far as how much energy you bring. And this time, that energy led to a couple steals, rebound. I mean, I think you at least got 1 rebound out there. And for your, being not the tallest person out there, that takes a lot to really kind of fight in there and get the rebound. And just hustling during the fast breaks. With all that, we're actually going to give you the defense award for this week because of all the energy you bring out there on the defensive end. Thanks, Jimmy. Now there's Ethan. So Ethan, you're out there taking on all these different roles of, if you're playing a 4 position, you're trying to help pass the ball, and I've talked to you guys about how that sometimes, even though it's a post position, sometimes you'll actually kind of work a little bit as a point guard, because if you get it, you can kind of feed the ball, or you set those screens. And to Ethan, this last game, you got off a lot of shots, in addition to just helping your team the other, with the things I just mentioned. None of the regular field goals went in, but you got to the free throw line, and you swished one of them, which is, again, just get there. It's okay if you miss shots. I've already told you guys multiple times. Just get the shots off and, continue working on how to shoot on your own. But as you shoot, eventually they'll go in. So you get, Ethan, you get the offense award because of, getting the shots off. You get a free throw. You get rebounds, which then leads to the offense. And even the jump ball, getting our team the ball back. And that's very important. Thank you, Ethan. Eli, again, I gotta give you the props for being out there and being a good teammate. You got the great attitude out there. I think you got 2 points out of the game. You got rebounds, you got deflections. But again, just being out there for the team and helping out where you need to. And that's where, again, I want to give you the Christ-like award for what you do for our team. Good job, Eli. Daniel, again, you kind of like some of the other guys, you get put down low and deal with some of these tall guys. We had some tall challenges this last game. Seems like they were kind of trying to dominate down low, but you're still down there fighting. And what was good is that you're able to get the jump ball, you're able to get deflections. You can get the rebound even though you're outmatched on height sometimes. And that helps with the awareness out on the court, knowing where you need to be, and just trying to see that ball and go for it. So with all that, again, you get the effort award because you're doing all you can out there to try to help the team, and we really appreciate it. Thank you, Daniel. Cooper, it was great to have you back, able to play with us. and you made an impact on the game, a positive impact on the game, and we appreciate it. Helped run the point guard because we face these teams, and just having more guards bring the ball down, that just helps out, that we can adjust to how they defend us. You got off plenty of shots to help. Like I said, we've seen you get shots off. You definitely worked on trying to get your shots off when we were down. You worked on trying to get some of those extra 3-pointers just to see if we can bring us back. I appreciate whatever we can do to kind of keep us in the game. But you did pull off 11 points, I believe. You got your free throws. Again, be aggressive. You'll get fouled. Get to the free throw line, and as time will come, we'll just get those free throws. You got some. I think you got like 5 free throws, and just attacking the basket. That's things we need to help move their defense and help our team out. So you get the offense award for all you did on our offense this week. Thanks, Cooper. And finally, we have Benjamin. Benjamin, I know type player you are. You got all that energy out there, and that's what we love. You're out there, you're hustling the whole game, guarding kids that are a lot taller than you a lot of time. You're in there fighting for the ball. I say get a rebound, you're still down there getting the rebound, even though I said if the ball's way up high, it comes down low, you're going after it, and that's what I'm asking for you guys. Know your game, play it, and your game is hustle. And with that, I'll actually give you the defense award, because you're always hustling to try to get the steals, the deflections, get the rebounds, even if you think you're outmatched. So I really appreciate it, Benjamin. Good job. So that's the stars for this week, but I do want to kind of go over just the game in general. Again, I love it that we were out there playing hard. We got points in the second half this time. Last time somehow we didn't get points in the second half. We kept scoring throughout the game. They just started to pull away, but we still were doing a good job of just fighting out there, adjusting to things such as zone. And I'm actually going to address that coming up in a little bit. But again, I'm very proud of how you guys played. One of the things I'm going to just kind of discuss here real quick is one of the things we kind of got beat on was their fast breaks. And when we're talking about stopping the ball as they're coming down with a fast break, I know I kind of say, get in there, stop the ball. And I'm always calling out whoever's the next person that could stop the ball. I try to warn you, stopping the ball is not going and reaching for the ball as they're coming at you, because again, it's a one and done situation. They're coming at you, you try to reach, most likely you're not gonna get the steal. By the time you lean, they're blowing by you. So stopping the ball is getting in front of them and just slowing them down with your body. Be wide, put your hands up, make them have to either go around you, but again, stay light on your feet. Don't stand still like you're gonna try to take a charge if you're chasing them down the court. Get down there, keep them from going anywhere, and hopefully everybody comes back and we can actually set up the defense then. But if you just try to go and say, I'm going to get this guy a steal, as he's coming at me, I'm going to steal it, most ball handlers will just go right around you. Now, we talked about if you're coming from behind the person and they're running in front of you, there were some times that we could have stole that ball from behind. Instead, we were just running with the player instead of chasing after him. There is a difference between running and sprinting. I know you guys have a sprint in you that could catch up with somebody dribbling the ball, because that's faster than dribbling. So we're going to work on that. I have coming up, and actually it's going to be quite a bit of time of videos, but I made some videos talking about how we're going to do zone, because we can actually practice it at practice. But I want you to watch what zone is, see if you can understand it, why it would be handy. And then also maybe we'll do that on inbounds too. Even if we're doing man-to-man defense, we may do inbounds zone defense. I'm going to go over some of the extra plays we can do with the 1-3-1, ways that it actually will work against the zone. We just can't keep doing that one pass and cut situation with the zone, because it actually gets cut off by the zone pretty easily. But there are other options that actually will work in the zone. And just a couple other things about maybe if we're going to press, how to do the press. But I had to pull you guys off the press this last game because we just weren't quick enough. We weren't going where we should, and they were beating us down there. So if we're going to do a press, we have to do it correctly. Otherwise, we'll just wait until they get to half court. So all this was coming up in a big chunk of videos I'm going to have for you. Please watch through them and see if you get yourself prepared so that we could be ready for the next practice, the next game. Thanks.
All right, let's talk about when we were trying to press. And if we can't be quick enough or know where we need to go for press, we will just have to not full court press as a team, because we're getting beat because we're not either quick enough on our feet or we're not remembering how to keep the court covered. So in this scenario, we are the blue and we're on defense trying to do a full court press. You know, how the other team, the red and this for this here, they, who knows exactly how they're going to lay out their full court press break, but most likely they'll at least have two guards down here. They may have more people down here, but let's just play the two guard scenario. So again, kind of like we do with that zone off or zone defense we talked about, is you're not necessarily guarding a person, you're responsible for areas. So let's break it down here. This is one of the key parts that we sometimes forget to do, is keep our number 5 position back, because if anything else, somehow the ball makes its way down and then they come down the court, 5 is our stop. 4 is in the middle for an initial stop, or he can help with a trap as they come down. But we need to space it out to make sure 4 and 5 have their responsibilities. So that way, in case 1 and 2 and 3 do not have success, we have something to do. So the team will pass in. Again, don't know. It doesn't matter what matchups you have. In this case, 3, 1, 2, and 3 are always going to be the ones pressing if we do it. And we can put, really doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, or 3 for us, which one lays out in this matchup either, as long as one person's on the ball and the other ones have the likely candidates to receive the pass. So when the ball comes in, let's say the person passes in to 1 in this case. This is where we have to be careful. 1, of course, wants to go this way, right? That's what their goal is. So as soon as the ball gets there, 2 needs to come down and stop them. And by stopping them, I'm not talking about using your hands. It means get wide and get in front of them. But at the same time 2 gets there, this is where the key is. And we didn't really pull this off too well. And if you can do it, you will really stress the other team. Is 3, who was guarding the guy passing the ball in, he's going to pull off and come and double team the person that received the ball. 2 is blocking off 1's attempt to come down the line. So actually, most ideally, we get him closer to the line. So 2 would be there, blocking him off. 3 comes over for a trap. So now, if you look at this, we actually have defender blocked going that way, defender block going that way. He can't go that way because of the sideline. So the only option he has, if we have a blocked off right, is to pass the ball out or dribble back. And if he wants to dribble back, we just follow him. That's perfect, because now he's blocked on almost all 4 sides. So this is the key to the press, is being quick and jumping off, blocking that sideline, and 3 jumping down and double teaming. Because they do have a person open here, and that's why I was teaching you guys, is after you pass the ball in, the person passing the ball in come in quick, because the ball can go right back and he's now free to go. But we're just going to take for granted we are quicker than them. So as soon as the ball comes over here and 3 comes down, and 4 comes in, whoever's closest to the ball on the other team other than the ball handler, 1 comes and blocks that off. So now the only option is this number 2. 4 is keeping a close eye on number 2. If 2 comes around here, 4 is looking for to intercept that pass. If he skips it over, 4 can come down, take that ball, and depends on how tall you are, shoot it or dunk it. So let's go back to here. So this is the key on this. How we were getting beat was the person got the ball. We were trying to stop them. A lot of times they're pretty quick, and we had some pretty quick dribblers we were trying to guard against. They'll beat 2 down here. This is where 4's important job is to play the line block like we just talked about before. He stands here, not trying to swipe the ball, but try to keep the player from going straight to down the line. 2 will try to catch up, and then if they make it past half court, that's another great trapping spot. But what really happened was we were trying to get over here. This ball handler was too fast, and everybody else is moving down the court at the same time. But he's coming down, and our 5 wasn't always necessarily down here and there. He was a little too anxious and playing a little high. We couldn't get back in time, and then we were just chasing them down, and they made their layup. So if you try to do a press, everybody has to have their correct responsibility to keep easy baskets from happening. So if you don't cover this area, you don't help out here, you don't cut off this baseline, the press won't work. Now, what can happen, and we may do this because it's a little safer, is when they're going to pass the ball in, let's say they just made a basket, everybody is just kind of running down court, getting their positions. Whoever, usually one of the guards, somebody that is probably guarding one of these 2 players, he'll be a little slow back and then be acting like you're going down the court. Keep an eye on that pass, and then if you can, you may snag that pass, then go get it. It's a very lazy one-person press. And what it does is you let them get a little, let the defense or the offense not realize you're going to do any type of pressure. Let them get down court. This person be a little slow about actually getting down the court, come back and try to pick off a pass. Now, again, it still relies on if they get this pass and this person takes off, you might be stuck back, and this is where our defense has to pick up the slack and try to stop them. If we are in zone, we are pretty covered because as soon as they come in, start coming down the line, we can kind of adjust until this person gets back, and then we can fill back in to where we need. All right? So let's talk a little more about our 1-3-1 offense. So if the other team is man, if you remember our play, we talked about we're trying to get it over to, pass to one of the wings. But if they're guarded, we talked about how we're going to V-cut down, bring the defender down, and pop back up, make the pass. This person comes along, the screen is set, they pass it, and they go in. Right? That's what we've been taught. That's what I've been teaching you, and that's fine. It works great until the team catches on. So what was happening this last game was the coach, reminded the players that our 1-3-1 goes a pass to the wing as our first option. So they actually had these guys intentionally sleeping back to try to intercept that pass. They wanted us to make that pass. And I'll try to remind you guys to keep an eye on that. But if you see that they're reading that pass to the wings and we can't do it, even if we're V-cutting, then we got to make an adjustment. And there are other options. I didn't want to overload the options for the team, but it looks like we may have to at least throw a few in here so that we can know what we need to do in case they make an adjustment. So, again, our first plan would be to go to the wing. One of the things we talked about is if this person's having trouble, I know we talked about this, but in the game, when this guy was having trouble, our help would always come from the wings, which is great that we're actually helping out and we're trying to get the screen through. But if we can help it, I really like 4 to be the one to set the screen for the down to the basket. So, again, reminder that one option is a pass. The other option is the high screen with 4, and 1 comes down for the layup. And again, layup, or what I'd like to see is if he dumps it to 5, 5 makes that shot. Because we have 5 sitting down here for all these instances, and we're just not quite getting those dump passes to our number 5 guy. All right, so that is one of them. Again, it's very simple. Of help your guard that has the ball up here out, and we can side screen but I'd like for us to possibly use our 4 because I think that works the best for us. All right, but let's talk about another option of actual passing. So I have been talking to Ethan about this and going over this, but I want everybody that plays the 4 position, or technically if you're 5, you most likely will be the 4 anyway, is I want you to be able to try to post up on your person if he's there. If you're wide open, then we don't have to worry about posting up. But posting up is putting your backside against the player, getting your hands up, asking for a pass. Because I'm pretty sure if our player's in front, defender's behind, even if number 1 is being guarded pretty tightly, and either a sidestep pass could be possible, or over the top pass could go to 4. So, a pretty good chance that if long as our guy is in front of his guy at number 4 position, we can get that ball to him if we want. So, if the pass is not to the wing, we can get the ball here. And what happens is this actually opens up a lot of options. So 4, and like I talked about before, needs to be patient. He needs to see the court and not freak out and just make a move without thinking. So we have 2 options, or actually 2. We have more than 2 options, but two main cuts I want to see happen first. So he has the ball. Again, he could be anywhere along this free throw line. Let's put him over here a little more. So that pass was coming to the angle right there. It's number 3. Remember we talked about V cuts, so you go down and come back out? Well, we actually have a backdoor cut that works perfect for this. So he's here. He will draw his defender a little bit this way, and then he will actually backdoor cut behind his player. 4 passes it down, and then that should be a shot. So the key on this is that 3, and like I mentioned before, you control your defense of where they go. If you see he's following you, perfect. He's following you, you go this way, he's going this way, then you just make a quick step that way, 4 will see you. And this is 4 becomes kind of like the assist man and point guard right now. He's seeing the court, he's seeing his options. These guys will need to decide what they're going to do, okay? So if 5 is on this side, 2 ideally would be the person coming this way, backdoor cut, dump the ball. And then he gets the shot. And that's why I always have 5 kind of like be on the opposite side of where the play is going to happen, and we just have to see where that's at, because I like the idea of we have this nice little pocket right here if they're playing man-to-man correctly. And again, we'll talk about zone in a second, but this is for man-to-man. All right, so that is one option, is to have, let's go back over this other side. So that the backdoor cut. So he goes, he backdoor cuts. If it's not there, I want him to come all the way through and pull his defender, right? He could set a screen for 5 and come around, but really it is the best if he comes all the way through. We now actually have an overload situation on this side, which is perfectly fine because plan B of this works well if there's nobody over here, because the next thing is 1 comes through for a handoff and comes down. And then he has his shot. All right? So, and if 1 comes through and there is no handoff, he can come out. We don't necessarily need to completely overload this side. He just needs to come space out. The key is, as you come down the lane, if you don't have anything here, clear out to one of the directions, because we don't want somebody just sitting here after your cut, because then we can't have anybody else cut to the basket because they'll be in the way. So if all that fails, 4 still has that ball, and this is where that drop step talked about, quick leg hook. You just leg hook around him, your guy, one quick move. You can either shoot the ball there, or if you have a continuation, just go and take it all the way to the basket. So let's bring this all the way back to the beginning, now that I showed you the different options of our 1-3-1 and how it can work, so that we can show something other than the wing pass. So one comes down. Doesn't have that wing pass, but number 4's worked really hard and got good position at the free throw line. The pass goes here. 3 comes around, backdoor cuts. That pass is not there, unfortunately. He can't make that pass around his defender, even though that'd be awesome if he could. That clears out. 1 comes around. He's actually working perfect on this because the handoff went smooth. This guy gets trapped behind on this tight handoff, and we got that basket. All right, so that is for man defense. So let's talk about our 1-3-1 offense when there's a zone. It can work well with a zone, but we just can't always do the same moves that we did when it wasn't a zone they were doing man-to-man. If they stick with a 2-3 defense, and they just completely stay within their zone regions, our 1-3-1 will actually throw off their 2-3 defense, because we will have an extra man in the middle here up top that they won't necessarily have guarded correctly, because these guys technically have the responsibility for this area. And if we have our man up here, these guys have to decide if they want to guard them or if they're going to guard up top. What should happen is that they guard something like this. But again, I don't think many 2-3 zones will pull that off correctly. So if they pull off 2-3 zone and they stay within the 3-point line, which is common for zones to do, and we will do something similar. We may, when we do zone defense, we may come up here a little higher, but a lot of them stay within 3-point line because there's not going to be a whole lot of 3-point shooters. So if they come up here and they start guarding the dribbler a little bit like they did before, this pass, even if it goes there and this guy comes down here, they're going to collapse in, and we're not going to have our pass in like usual. Kind of went over that before. So what we would do is this 4, again, is the key part on a 1-3-1 against the zone, because if the pass comes here, it is actually almost everybody's responsibility. It's in the area that's actually everybody's responsibility on the court for defense. They have to decide who's going to close off. In pretty good chance, they may have multiple people that decide to do it, which means we will have somebody open for a pass. But even if they don't, if the ball goes here and nobody's on him initially, this is just a shot. Something easy. We don't have to try to make this extra pass. We don't have to try to do anything else. If you're at a free throw line or in, all of us can shoot from free throw line and in. So if you're here open, let's make that shot. All right? So if he is like this, and this guy got caught up there, and this guy's right here, somebody's going to be coming up on him. Again, this is the backdoor cut situation we went over before. Backdoor cut, make that pass. He's trying to keep an eye on the area, not necessarily 100% on his man. He's keeping an eye on his area. When 3 comes down here, he becomes 5's responsibility if you're doing a correct zone. So, if we have the ball at 4, a backdoor cut this way would be perfect. The other option, again, if just 1 comes by for a handoff, he comes down there. So he's got to be careful with, if they have a 2-3 zone, we can't get in our usual thing of pass and screening down, because if they're going to just camp out, that's not going to happen. learn how to read the defense, go with the open option, and read how they adjust. If this guy comes down here, pass it. So I still think we can pull off 1-3-1 in a zone. It's just we have to be prepared for the other options. And the key on this is if we are spaced out, the zone has to decide who they're going to cover. And if we can get the right amount of passes and movement, then it'll throw them off. And you guys can improvise. I'm fine with that because we don't run strictly by the book out there for sure. If we have 5 here, if 5 comes up high just to mess with them, 4 has to decide what he wants to do. And then if 2 goes down low, now they got to decide who they're switching off on. So this is where I was talking about before the game about learn that the defense will have to react to where you are. If you find out, hey, if I can pull the defense a certain way and confuse them, and you guys just start switching spots, now the defense has to decide, okay, you take this guy, you take this guy. They got to figure out who's going to take who. And if you're wide open, we have to see those passes. We have to go through somebody if we have to. Just make movements that have a purpose, either to move the defense away or to cut to the open spot. And then we got to make sure our heads are up for the passes, and then we can maybe get the ball there. So let's talk about zone and inbounds play. So our inbounds play works really well against man. It can work against zone, but we have to be aware of the changes and get to the open spots. But I'll show you why we were having issues when they were doing zone inbounds. So let's be the same scenario where let's us be the blue. And so let's put 3 inbounding the ball. 5, 1, 4, 2. All right, and they're going to be in zone defense. So the thing about zone is screens don't work the greatest against zone because the people are going to stay where they're at anyway and just shift responsibility of the person coming down. So us cutting out, 1 and 2 cutting out, still works fine. These guys may or may not follow, and this is actually where our open passes were because they were playing zone. This was actually our most open pass, or if it was skip pass, if we can pull that off. But what happened here is when ball side went to screen and they were in zone, normally this is left open. This 4 is left open because 5 is guarding, whoever he's guarding, or moved around. But because 5 playing zone just sits there, and these guys don't necessarily follow their man; they cover their area. They were sitting like this as the screen happened. Again, screen didn't do anything. When he came down, it was all crowded. So then we had an issue passing it in. And like I said, this might have been our best option. We can make adjustments for this by either popping out somewhere like this and just tossing the ball in deep to the corner. So with the zone, again, their responsibility as playing zone is to keep the area guarded in here. So they're going to be kind of a tight 2-3. If we pass the ball as a lob to a high man, they're probably not going to chase it. Let's talk about zone. So in this scenario, we are the red defense and blue is the offense. And the idea behind zone is that you're responsible for an area, but not exactly a person all the time. So you would lay out, we would probably do a 2-3 zone, which you see the layout of the red team here. And you could see how number 2 is responsible probably for an area that consists of that. 1 would be responsible for an area like so. 3, as you can kind of see a pattern here. 4 would be somewhere right around there. and 5 would kind of cover all this area right in there. So remember, with defense, there's no 3-second in the paint, so 5 can stay around there as much as he wants. So let's put this in action here, and you kind of see what happens. As number 1 has the ball, or whoever has the ball at the top of the key, that is actually up to our defenders 1 and 2 to decide who's going to call defense on that. So it can be 2 comes up and guards there. If that's the case, we have 4 shifting over to guard more of 3, 5 shifting there, 3 shifting there, 1 shifting there. So you can see everybody moves to cover an area to make sure everybody's covered in their region or zone of the court. And when the ball moves, we have to decide how we adjust. The ball moves over here, it really should be 2 adjusts over there, 1 adjusts there, 3 comes out, 4 then drops down, and 5 covers over there. And as everybody shifts around, we now are again covered every person on the court, but it doesn't matter if you actually match up with your number as long as you match up with people in your area. Now what gets a little tricky is when the players start moving around, not just passing. So let's bring this, for example, let's bring the pass up to 1. What happens if 1 drives to the basket? Well, 2 can collapse down because it's in his region, and 1 will follow him to a point there too. 4 will make sure he's, still has his guy, but he can block it off, and then we're covered most of the players. There is number 3 up here that is open. It's still, in this case, number 2's responsibility for number 3, and if that's the case, if it passes out, he pumps back out. But he can pull off because it's still covering his area and covering the person with the ball right there. Now, should 2 come over here? That throws off the balance of our zone. No. So 2 needs to stay in this area, but he can come down and help whatever he needs. If you notice, when we played against this last team, and they had zone against us, we had an issue when we brought our people. Let's bring our scenario here. We had it laid out like this. Well, if they're defending it 2-3, which as they were, and then we pass it over here, we run this screen off, runs by 4, well, nobody's guarding him, so that didn't work. And we come down here, these guys are just sitting there waiting, so this pass would not work. So this is where we have to adjust our play when we're on offense. But that's why I have this number 4 here, because you see how it throws off their layout. So let's go back to, if we're on defense, again, we're the red, and they come over here, and they start overloading on a side. All right, so now we're like this. What is 2 doing? 2 is responsible for this area all over here, but he needs to realize he's not doing anything. So he needs to shift. 4 needs to shift down there. 5 needs to front guard this guy to make sure that pass doesn't get in, and 1 staying with the ball here. Now, this is where you have to kind of keep an eye on things. If how you can beat a zone is by large movements and cross court. So if 2 goes over there, does 3 follow? No. There's no reason for him to follow because he's not playing man. He's playing zone. He's responsible for this area. So this is where 4, 5, and 3 kind of make an adjustment. And if the defense is not aware of how to handle zone correctly, they would send this guy all the way over here and clear it out and then throws off the zone. But when we understand how it's supposed to happen, we just shift. And yes, it might be a little height mismatch here for 3 and 5, which is why they do this kind of setup. But we can keep everybody covered just by keeping an eye on where the open people are and what is my area of interest. Now 4 really shouldn't be this far over. He really should be packing over here, and we can overload in both 5 and 4's area in here, because I do not care if they try to make this real long pass over here, because if they do make this long pass to this person that's open over there, 4 might be able to intercept it, and then we'll just easily shift over. So again, the idea is on a zone to have areas covered that you know that you should be responsible for. And as a defender, you cover whoever enters your area, and then you shift or tell your teammates to switch when they move around. So let's reset at the top, kind of go over this again. Everybody comes down, gets in their defensive position, the 2-3 defense, and then we're going to go through it again. If the guy dribbles, all right, here we come up. Let's say 2 sides match up, but then as they dribble over here, it really should be 1 recognizing that they might need help. He'll come over, assist, and 2 will mark off like that. 3 can come up and block off 3. But really probably should be more like right in that area, because again, I don't care about this long pass, because we can always get over there in time. So the benefit of zone is that we always have somebody camping in this area if somebody drives, and these guys are always in this area here in case the drive comes down. Because if 4 comes out here, this guy is responsible for this whole area. But as soon as he sees somebody coming toward his area, he can come off and help out and not have to worry about his guy at that moment, because we can always reshift and take care of that if the ball goes over there. So let's talk about playing zone when we are the red defense here. So one of the things I've been wanting to do, and I've been holding off because we hadn't had a chance to go over zone, is play zone when the other team's passing the ball in. Because I kind of just went over that with how our inbounds play kind of failed a little bit because they were doing zone. This is something that I noticed when Hannah's high school team, they actually do zone on a lot of the inbounds plays because it messes up inbounds plays. So let's just go through this again. Is if we're the red, and if we set up in a pretty standard 2-3 zone, but again, kind of maybe tightening it in a little bit, and then let's put them in a standard box situation. Again, I don't know what numbers they put anywhere. So a lot of teams will set up in a box, kind of like we do, but a standard box situation is where they high screen for their player to come down. And what happens is, if they do that, the person guarding the man up top, he gets trapped, and then this person comes down, is wide open. But if we do zone, and they try to pull off a standard box play where it's just a high screen and come down, it won't work if 3 is playing its position and reading the situation. That 5, when the screen goes up, when the person goes up the screen, they sit right here. When 5 comes down, there is no pass because they stayed there. And this actually is done without a person necessarily guarding on ball, because we'd rather prevent their pass and be covered in all these areas than have somebody sticking on ball. Because you can try to block the pass in, but if we leave one person open, then they're going to be able to get it in. If we have 5 people defending an area, giving up this person's freedom to pass it in, now we have a man advantage to block their play. So one other thing that they could do is if they run some kind of stack, which again we may do eventually, depends on how much we want to learn in the short amount of time we have these practices. If they run a stack, we will still, if we would want to do this, and I think it'd be beneficial, we will still run a type of zone, just we will tighten it up to be a little more surrounding the players, because there's no reason for 4 to be over here. That would not make sense. So he plays in his tight extreme location there, 2 pulls in, 5 again is not guarding the ball, it's hard to show on here, but he's guarding the main area under the basket where the likeliest shot will be. Now whatever they do, they may do, you know, a split, whatever it is. Again, if we just adjust and stay in our zone area, don't necessarily follow these players around with their screens, but just say, hey, anybody in here I'm going to prevent from getting a pass. Anybody from here from getting a pass. 5 is in there, going to be our shot blocker, doing whatever he needs to do. If anybody tries to drive in, and even if they give him the ball, 5 is there waiting for him. So, I would like for us, if we can understand zone in a regular offense, I would like to try and bring it into the inbounds play, because it will throw off any up and down screens they might do. Which, again, you know, if they move the ball around, you know, if this person pops out here, or something like that, you know, we have to adjust and decide how far we're willing to chase. Are we willing to allow them to try to make that pass and we intercept it? I do not want 2 or somebody like this coming all the way out there being tight man, because then this guy can cut in quickly and get the ball. 2 is responsible for this area, and he can be in the line of sight, the straight through, for... So as long as he's in the line of that pass to where the player is, he's doing his job. Same thing for 1. He's staying within that passing line and playing right there in that zone. Because if they do pass it, he can possibly pick it off on the way.